You know, it's bad news, dumb shit. When I'm full of rep and be full of red rum, bitch.
Welcome to that wreck. You already know it's your host PayDae, and everybody loves PayDae like the 1st and the 15th. Y'all know your girl always gotta come slide through and put y'all in that wreck business, and today ain't no different. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like button. Let's go. Okay, so before we get into this video, I would also like to mention that I do now offer memberships on my channel. So if you guys are interested in getting exclusive content fast, then make sure you get a membership. Okay, so in this video, we will be talking about a 10 or 11-year-old who unalived his grandfather and his mom. Now, his grandfather was a former mayor in a small town in Louisiana called Minden, Louisiana. Now, when I first hear a 10 or 11-year-old unaliving someone, I think the story has to be deeper than that, right? Because the average 10-year-old does not wake up with death on their mind, right? So it was a very peculiar case to me, okay? The reason I said 10 or 11-year-old is because some reports state he was 10, others state that he's 11. The one I'm about to go off of right now states that he is 10, and it says a 10-year-old boy in Louisiana is in custody after he reportedly admitted to fatally shooting an 82-year-old former mayor and his 31-year-old daughter. Joe Cornelius and his daughter Keisha Miles were found unalive inside a Minden residence on Sunday, September 1st, 2024. The victims had been shot several times. So this particular news outlet spoke to one detective in particular, and his name was McCleaver. And his exact words were, "We got a confession. But in these cases, when you're in, it's very delicate. When you're dealing with a child of this age, you know, in their stage, we're looking at what's their motive, what was the motive, right?" Then he goes on to say, although the child was scared, he appeared to have a mindset to commit a crime like this. And that was very strange to me, because it's like, how at 10 do you appear to have a mindset to commit a crime like that? What could he have possibly said or done while scared to make you feel like he had a mindset to commit a crime like this? And we all know in these little small towns, especially small little country towns like Minden, Louisiana, they're very quick to like try to wrap up a case, especially when it's somebody who's been in politics and who has done things in the community. They'll overlook some of the facts of the case, in my opinion, to wrap it up very quickly. And that, when I was reading all these articles, that's what it was given to me, okay? But that's just my opinion. Everything in this video is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only, okay? Authorities did not release information about the nature of the child's relationship with the victims. In all the articles I looked at, they never made it clear what his relationship was to the victims. But come to find out, to the left, Cornelius was his grandfather and Keisha Miles was his mother. Now, after this, the article goes into who Cornelius was, okay? And they dressed him up real nice. Let's get into it. They said Cornelius was well known in the community and briefly served as interim mayor of Minden in 2013. A former Minden city councilman, he was known for his work with local youth and earned the nickname Mr. Joe. In 1990, he founded the Concerned Citizens of Minden after a 10-year-old named PayDae told him there were no activities for children in the summer. The organization would go on to raise funds for scholarships for students. In a statement, Minden Mayor Nick Cox remembered him as a good friend and a politician devoted to his community. Joe Cornelius' years of service to Minden were marked by his commitment and dedication to the betterment of our community. Okay, like I said, they dressed them up real nice, but it was something about this case that just still was not sitting right with me. And when we get to further into this video, I'll give y'all the flip side of this story. But even before I got the flip side of this story, something already just didn't appear right to me, and I don't know why. And I always follow my gut. I don't know about y'all, but me, I always follow my gut. And it was something amiss, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't put my finger on it. And then voila. But we're going to get into it, okay? Okay, before we get to the flip side of this story, let's get into a few other details that I feel like is important before we get into that. I think it's important to note that 2 different caliber weapons were used in this incident and were found hidden on the property, but they were not sure how the 10-year-old got a hold to 2 different weapons and used both of them. I thought that was kind of strange that he didn't use one, but he used 2. It seemed like something happened, but I just wasn't sure what. Other reports stated that it was over video games. They did state that another family member was the one to call 911. But they did not state who that family member was. And like I said before, he was accompanied by his grandmother, who is his legal guardian, when he went down there for questioning. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys a quick video clip, a news clip of this incident before we get into the flip side of the story. So right after this news clip, we'll get into the other side of the story, okay?
The small, tight-knit community of Minden, Louisiana has a population of just over 12,600. The town is grappling with the death of one of its pillars, 82-year-old Joe Cornelius Sr. He was a former longtime Minden City Councilman and former interim mayor.
This is a somber day for our community as we face this tragedy that has deeply affected us all.
They say a child, who was only described as a relative of the victims, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. He's accused of killing Cornelius and his adult daughter, 31-year-old Keisha Miles. Police say each victim was shot multiple times, and they believe multiple guns were used in the killings because they recovered 2 weapons, their calibers matching empty shell casings left at the scene.
Who knows why someone would do something this malicious, and at that age.
Police Chief Jarrett McIver says they are still trying to piece together the rest of the puzzle.
The juvenile gave us a story at first that just didn't add up. Investigators continued on with the interview and later on got a confession from this juvenile.
According to Shreveport affiliate KSLA, Cornelius, a longtime public servant, may have owned guns because of his previous role in law enforcement. Neighbors told them before the shooting an argument broke out between Cornelius and the minor about credit card charges over video games.
Everybody's sad. Yeah.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Okay, that was the news clip, and for some reason I recorded it over and over again, but it still would not let y'all hear what the police had to say, which is weird because it plays what the police had to say on the device it's recorded on, and it does actually on my computer, but whenever I add it here, it just won't let y'all hear it. That's weird, but whatever. Let's get to the flip side of this story. Let me repeat that everything I've said in this video is allegedly, okay, and for entertainment purposes only. Gotta cover myself. But like I said, the case was very weird, and then I stumbled up on something surprising. So there's another content creator. Her channel name is A Walk with the Ancestors. She goes by Quatita Dean or The Governess. Now she's a spiritual reader, and I got turned on to her from being in the Mo3 sector and her having and doing the last reading on Mo3, right? So she's kind of been like a statement in our sector. So that's how I'm familiar with her. Well, come to find out, she knew Keisha Miles, and she did a video. She actually did 2. You can find one of the videos. I think one of them is labeled Keisha Miles, I Love You, Honey. The second one has been deleted. And it's probably because of the information that was in the second one. I wanted to play it for you guys, but it's no longer there. And I think it has a lot to do with probably the family, these secrets coming out, and this happening in a very small country town, and them wanting this part of it to not be talked about. Because we have to keep in mind that this person, Cornelius, was supposed to be, a pillar in the community. Okay. Well, there was some things that Quatita Dean touched on in her video that was surprising to me. So let's get into it. Keisha Miles was the mother of 3 kids. She had a 17-year-old, she had the 10 or 11-year-old, and then she had a middle child as well. The 17-year-old ended up reaching out to Quatita Dean for help because he needed help burying his mom. Also, he knew that Quatita Dean knew his mom very well and had been reading for her for the past 3 years. Quatita Dean spoke on trying to prevent Keisha Miles' death for 3 years. Now, in that first video, she didn't go into how or why, but in that second video, she did. But like I said, it's no longer there. In that first video, she said that she kept telling her not to go back to Louisiana, not to go back to the booth. Now, Keisha Miles used to stay with Quincy Dean for a little bit. Okay. Now, what Quincy Dean said was that the father, Cornelius, had been making the daughter Keisha Miles perform sexual acts to work off certain debts. So let's say the 10 or 11-year-old did run up the credit card bill buying video games. Well, anytime this was to happen, Keisha Miles was made to do sexual favors for her own father. Yes, incest. And she also said that it was likely that that's what was going on at the time. Quintita Dean also made mention that it was likely that the 11-year-old walked in on them in the room while it was happening, and that's when the situation, got crazy. He probably was trying to protect his mom. Now, how everything went down, we still don't have the answers to that. But we do know that the argument was about video games. Okay. Now, take everything I said and everything in this video with a grain of salt. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all did, make sure that y'all hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe. And like I said, I do offer memberships on my channel now. The link will be in the description box. I'll see you guys later. Also, I would like to add before I leave that she did say that this had been going on for quite some time, and it had already been going on since Keisha Miles was a young kid, which is why her and the father never got along. I don't know how or why she ended up living back with the father. But some of that was in the second video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to Quintita Dean myself to see if she would like to speak on this situation. And if I can do a follow-up video to this, I will, if at all possible. Y'all remember to love, live, let live, and chill. I'll see you guys next time.